you today? I am back again with another interview with another entrepreneur and another business owner. Today we have somebody who has actually traveled, I don't know how many countries, but he has been all over the place. But still, he couldn't find the way to do what he wanted to do. So that's why he found one place to do it. We will chat with him more to discuss what happened, how did it happen, and everything. And the name of the person is Jason Starbuck from Moved 30. It's moved30.com. Description will be in the bio. Hi, Jason. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I appreciate that introduction. You made it a real strong one.
Thank you so much. That's what I'm here for. For me, each and every entrepreneur or business owner is a star.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah. So let's start. First of all, where are you at the moment?
I live here in San Diego, California. You're right. You talked a little bit. I've done some traveling. I've lived in Thailand, Philippines. I've lived in India. I've lived in many different countries. And so I've learned a lot about culture. So I learned a lot in business on culture. But yeah, I live here in San Diego and I do a lot of my hobbies are martial arts and I do Muay Thai. And so, yeah, I stay active out here and surf and all that good stuff.
That's nice. So before we start with your business talk and all of those things, who is Jason as a person?
Oh, great. That's a good, I was just, I was just on a podcast earlier today and he asked me, he's like, what is a man? And I was like, oh man, I really got to have a good answer. So then you just asked me, what is Jason Starbuck? I said, oh man, I got to have a good answer. I would say that sometimes when you describe yourself, I've always been someone that's interested in a lot of things. And so one of the ways that I had to figure out how to combat that was to find ways to create repetition because I like so many different things. So some of the things that I enjoy have to do with an art. So for example, I play guitar, so I like to play blues, and that's like, I've taken that actually, India, Philippines, and taken that all over the world. Martial arts, I do Muay Thai, which is out of Thailand, which is the art of 8 limbs, which is basically kicking with your shins, knees, elbows, and your hands. So it's a pretty full contact sport. But then I've owned e-commerce stores as well. I used to own 7 e-commerce stores. One was with Oakley. I still have that old Oakley case.
Wow.
Oakley sunglasses. So I've done e-commerce. I now have a coaching program for entrepreneurs that are kind of stuck and in fatigue and looking to get into momentum. But that is who I am. There's a lot of stories we could talk about, but that's probably the core of who I am.
That's amazing. So you have traveled so many places, you have done so many businesses and still not tired. You're still doing it. That's amazing to know. So
I've been online. I've been online since about 2012. I'm sorry, 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, so
It's
I've
been
sold
long
online.
time.
Yeah, I've been full-time online since 2005.
Wow, that's amazing. So before we start, like you started this all the Move 30 program, how did your journey started as a business owner?
It's a really good question because I think that we find ourselves as entrepreneurs through this process. We really do kind of learn a lot about ourselves because we have to perform. And so kind of going back a little bit of like where I had where I actually had, Oakley and I had e-commerce stores. Here in California, there's an area called the Grapevine. And what it is it's this big, huge hill that goes all the way to the top of this mountain. And as it starts to come down, there's all this like pistachios, nuts, fruits, and all of the vegetation in this big valley. And I like to go there when it's about 5 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning because I like the sunset to come up. However, on this day, it's about an 8-hour ride, probably about 4 hours to get there. However, on this day, I was actually going down that hill and I kept telling myself, I'm always on the move. I'm always on the move. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I basically was losing weight in my legs, so I was very weak. And I was gaining weight in my stomach, so I was just looking super skinny and awful. And my mind was just not clear. I couldn't find, what were the things that was going to keep the thing going so that I wasn't as stressed, so that I knew that if I do those actions in my business, then I knew that I can move those things. So as I was writing down and I was saying I'm always on the move, at that time, I finished the trip. I ended up getting rid of my e-commerce businesses and moving to Thailand and learning about Muay Thai and dense muscle as entrepreneurs to be strong. And then I spent 3 months with a monk, and I spent with him doing about an hour and a half for 6 weeks, incrementing from 5 minutes to an hour and a half in meditation. So probably towards the end, it was about an hour and some change a day in full meditation. And then when I came back from those countries, I came back here. And as I was living here, I was like, I might as well take advantage of understanding culture because I'm already on the run. So I then took off, moved to the Philippines, moved to India. Then I came back here and I kind of stepped back and I went, one of the major issues that I have had to try to solve this was that entrepreneurs are not treating themselves as a full being. We're treating ourselves as our job or as our whatever we do for our, whatever this is right here. That's what we serve. But what happens is, because most of us are extremists, we tend to put all of that energy into that area and we forget about the other areas that we need to take care of. So what the journey that I took on was creating what's called the Moved 30, which is MOVD 30, Moved 30. And what it is it's 3 different areas that we pay attention to in your business. One is in your mind, which is the mental state. We look at clearing your mind and getting yourself an actual manifestation action plan, something that makes sense. Use the brain as a tool, not as woo-woo or spiritual. You can use it as a tool. And so by utilizing meditation and manifestation, you create a muscle. And then the last one is I always try to find a domino. So a domino has to do with what can we work with together to move the needle forward in your business, and then create that repeatable process so that you don't get off of doing that. Because the majority of us as entrepreneurs and solo entrepreneurs, it's only because we don't have 4 hands. Mm-hmm. We only have 2. So we can only do so much. But what happens is we've got all these things going around. And so by choosing something that can be repeatable, you can learn, earn, or pivot whatever that thing is that you're doing. So what I do to kind of bring it all together is I treat the entrepreneur like Nike is to athletes. Mm-hmm. Nike helps athletes. Moved is to entrepreneurs. And so we basically treat you, an entrepreneur, like an athlete.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you started this journey of business, what was your first business?
Oh, my first business. Oh, let's go back. I started a clothing line. I was a younger kid. I think the first time I started selling stuff, I was definitely selling sweets or candies or something, in elementary school. But yeah, that was probably kind of the structure of that was probably my first clothing line. And then it turned into screen printing and things like that. So been doing transactions with people for a pretty long time.
And so when you were moving here and there, what businesses did you have, and how did you end up? Did you sell it, or what did you do with those businesses so that you can focus only on Move 30?
Yeah, very good point. So one of the businesses I had was actually in the Philippines, and I had a call center, and I had a lot of dialers, and our offer was towards solar companies, and so we were a lead generator for solar companies. And what we would do is we would sign those contracts, and then those contracts would go out. And as I saw myself putting that whole thing together, and we built it, and we ran clients and everything like that, I just decided that I didn't really want to. I saw the call center business was changing, and a lot of automations were coming in, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do the whole, staff 50 people anymore, and have to have all of those issues that you have, a manager in overseas, in the Philippines and things like that. So there was a little bit of me just saying, you know what, I think I can make a different decision. It wasn't so much a better, it was just a different one that would maybe serve my lifestyle a little bit better.
Oh, so that's why you just wrap up everything and
I just let the contracts go, and then I just basically kind of moved them along. So I served everybody, but I didn't want to go out there and generate more sales or leads or anything like that.
yeah, because at the end of the day, you want to be at one place, focus on your family as well. Obviously, you want a lifestyle that you can actually enjoy it, not just go here and there all the time.
Well, I
Money is
also thought that it was really, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, you were saying something.
I was saying as a passion side, I also think it's quite rewarding to see people actually do what you create. And so in the Move 30, working with entrepreneurs, and within a couple of weeks later, they're starting to actually feel stronger. This isn't a workout program. You need to have strength to do fun things. And so we try to find ways for you to get stronger so that you have more security, you're more confident. It's just the way that we work.
That's true. So when you started Move 30, what exactly the program is all about? You say Moved 30. Why it is Moved 30?
It's a 30-day program where we actually come together, and it includes 4 different classes, and I teach 4 different classes that are inside of it. And in that, I believe that in 30 days, if you hyper focus, you can put the action plan into place that's going to get you into momentum. And a lot of the stuff that we need to talk about as entrepreneurs is that we lack any kind of repetition or consistency. And so when I look at the mental side, the physical side, and I look at the business side, I dissect what is it that's going to allow us to be consistent in these areas so we can actually change. Because there's so many programs out there with a lot of technology and a lot of like cool stuff. And so you open up all the courses and the programs, you're like, wow, this is really cool. But you're not really getting into momentum. You're just basically reading about stuff. And so what I really wanted to do was really to give strategies that take people and create buzz. So if at this time, depending on where it's going, on my Facebook story under Jason Starbuck, you'll see a buzz. You'll see testimonials. You'll see people saying things. You'll see people enjoying themselves. You'll see people commenting that they're being successful. And so when you do that, I teach the strategy to create that environment, because there's two kinds of banks as entrepreneurs, and we need both of them. One of them is the money bank. That makes us go, scorecard, we're winning. But the other one is your feel-good bank. And that means, do you have people saying that you're doing a good job for them? And that doesn't have to be for super expensive dollars. You need to get out there and serve people. So a lot of what our program is, the Move 30, is giving you those foundations to get going in 30 days, but then also focus on how we manifest and how we use our bodies so that we feel good and do fun. I mean, I always say, do fun stuff, because if you don't do anything fun.
So true. It is sometimes hard, to figure out whether we want to do fun stuff or whether we want to do just the business stuff, because sometimes people are like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then they end up putting a lot of pressure on them, stressful and everything. They don't have time for them and give themselves some break. So I think your program also helps with getting them stress-free as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we're quite honest, depression many times is due to not moving forward. And so if you're getting momentum and you're feeling that feeling of momentum, especially if it's middle time, if you have an offer and a little bit of your business, if you have those things, then momentum is like a drug, because then you just feel this, like it's like something lifts you up in the air. And as it lifts you up in the air, it's like, whoa, where am I going? So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for something to give you an anchor to grow you. That's what we're doing, period. And so what I do is I work with the clients that come through the Move 30 to solidify that, not only in a physical sense, but in a mental side as well.
Mm, that's so true. And how does this, how anybody, if anybody wants to do your program, how they contact you?
Yeah, what you do is you can go to MOV as in Victor, MOVD 30.com. So it's pronounced moved30.com. And you can go in there and take a look at the sales page. You could also take a look at the value when it comes to like testimonials, and I also tell a little bit about my story and things like that. So, you know, as you go through that, you can make a decision if it's for you, if you're coaches or you're experts or your consultants, or you're trying to generate some buzz around your name, build your name quickly, then that's exactly what the move30.com is for.
Oh, that's nice. And is this program in person or online, or how do we get it? And is it available all over the world, or it just United States?
It is. I do have clients in the UK. I have clients in Australia. I have clients in many different countries. The cool thing is I've traveled to so many of these countries that I get to at least say, hey, I've been there, and then we can create a quick icebreaker and move on. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And are you, have you ever been to New Zealand?
I've never been to New Zealand. I have not, but I think I need to. Yeah, you guys are, I think that I definitely need to. I've never been to Australia either. So I know that those are going to feel good the same. And, but New Zealand and Hawaiians maybe have a little bit of island.
We are only 5 million people here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we would love to have you.
That'd
And
be great.
borders are opening as well.
That's true. That's true. You know, the cool thing is now that we've been able to do things like this is, you know, we're able to get on, you know, at this point, it's just you and I. There's going to be people that are listening, but it's just you and I, and we get to kind of get to know each other and chat. And the cool thing about these is we'll remember each other through these. And so I always think that they're really cool to do.
Yeah. So while you're doing this program, right? So do you have a costing, or is it expensive, or is it really cheap? What it is? Do you,
I think anything you're going to do is going to have a cost, but I think that all the programs that I do, I change them in and out. But as you go with the Move 30, the current offer, you can go in there. It depends if it's there. Sometimes I throw in some free options. So if it's there, great. But you know, they're smaller. If you really to make a change, then what we do is we just schedule a time. I sit down with you. I show you kind of what the action plan is. And I'm a pretty easygoing guy. Like, I want you to crush it. I want you to do all those things. So I just basically try to give you as much value as I can. I do a soft kind of like, want to buy it? And then we rock and roll.
No, because it's important for business owners to invest in their knowledge. And sometimes when you are stuck somewhere, it is important to have, third person from the outside to come have a look and give you more perception, because you don't know where to go. So I think you will be able to help them, right?
Yeah, what the Move 30 does is it really physically gets you moving, makes you a little stronger. And then mentally we work on, like I said, it was like, there's a mental side of this that you can clear your brain and start thinking clearly. And then from there also start to build and manifest. I got a kind of the hook, I guess you would say, on the meditation and manifestation practice that I teach. There's a guy named Ray Dalio, and he's a billionaire in the US. And he is a guy that's done business with guys like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and those guys. And what he does is he calls them shape shifters. And what he meant by that is these guys have the ability to see the vision of whatever they're going to build, but they also have the vision and the ability to pull back and to work on the little screw and understand that the machine has all these little parts. And so what they have the ability to do is visualize it and then actually make it happen. And so I created, it's called the opening the door technique. And I teach that in this program. It's awesome. I mean, every day I work through it. And so I look forward to sharing it as well.
Yeah. And do you do any kind of webinars or something where people can actually get a feel of your program a little bit, or does it charge or is it free?
Yeah, it's not a software. There's a charge. It's not a software. But it'll just depend on what kind. I mean, you know what I mean? It'll depend on where we're at.
Yeah, definitely.
Currency and things like that. But yeah, there's always going to be a cost. So it depends on where it's at, depending when this is released. I don't know what the price will be when this is released. But yeah, it's exciting to be able to see people grow. But where I push and where I nurture the relationships is what you're talking about. Is I do a lot of that through a podcast that I have, and it's called Moved. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, so it's called Move 30?
No, it's called Moved, MOVD, Entrepreneur Evolved. And I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple, I'm on YouTube, I'm on everything. But I think I just did yesterday, episode 51. So our average podcasts are about 45 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes. And so I've brought on some pretty cool guests. So learn a little more about other guests or just spy on me to see if you can know, like, and trust me, you can go to Moved Entrepreneur Evolved podcast on YouTube, and there's a ton of them. I also have mini pods in there as well, so there's small content clips that we've created.
Yeah, and I will be mentioning that in the bio as well for them to go through go through the links and see what you do, because it's gonna really help them learn more about you. It's important for people. And while you're doing all of this, how do you manage your personal life as well?
I do this because it is part of my personal life. And what I do is I utilize this structure of the Move 30 to be the core of the main things that I have to do. And when I utilize that, then everything else is not the needle movers. They're just things I got to get done. And so I manage it by finding what I call stacking. And so what I do is look for repeatable stacking processes. And then I implement those into my life. And as like an athlete, it's like an add-on. It's like I add a lock on or something. And when I do that, for example, on a leisure side, when I decided to learn how to play guitar, I was very understanding that, it takes a lot of hours, and I wasn't in my 20s, I was in my 30s. So I was older. So a lot of my dexterity and everything like that had already created the muscles to the way that I use my hands, not a musician. But I use the same philosophy, and that is I played for 3 hours a day for a year.
Wow.
And so I would pick that guitar up and I would just play, and I would 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 play. And then after a year, I was able to play blues. I was able to play some rock and roll, some old, nice, love music, whatever it is, right? So I could play those things because I chose to choose something that was a little bit difficult, but to create repetition. And so that same philosophy is many times used in our business, but we don't. We try to throw everything to an automation or we try to throw it to a delegation, or we try to build this. But the reality is we need something that's repeatable every single day. Then you work around that. That is your anchor.
So true. And is there a possibility for you to just a little bit of guitar today? Can you play a little?
I don't even know if it's tuned.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little.
All right.
Wow.
This thing's out of tune.
Well done. That's pretty good.
But it's
just
fun.
A little bit. I said I loved it. You're really good.
But the art, the ability to pick things up, create repetition, will create a foundation of who you are as a human. And so what I do is I take that as an entrepreneur and I build that through the Move 30.
Yeah, I can see that now. The way you played the guitar, we can see the example, how you what you are saying, you are actually doing it. You're not just saying it. So it is
Yeah, you
important.
gotta. Yeah, I always say, like, I went out there and slayed the dragon, and I have the scars to show it.
And how do what is the self-care routine? How do you do self-care for yourself?
A lot of that is of what the Move 30 is. A lot of that is really taking care of yourself in those two areas. I did have areas that I chose, like grooming for guys or something. It's like, if you're going to work on Wild Time, take care of yourself a little bit. So a lot of that is just to lift the community up. And I always use the term baseline, because really what it is you're living at a certain baseline. And then what we do is we find actions to lift that baseline up. And that's how we actually generate a new human, right? Because you're a representation of the actions that create you as a human today. So if I can actually change some of those actions and move you towards a stronger entrepreneur, now you're in line.
Yeah, that's so true. Agree. And while you're doing this whole of the journey and everything, so what is one thing that motivates you every day?
It's really interesting because I just have this internal go, I guess. But I'd like to build this brand, and I would like to treat it like Nike or something, and bring this brand to entrepreneurs in support of something that's cool and it's fun and it's got good information, and you can really be a part of something. And so what Moved is about is bringing that entrepreneur at the stage that they're at, and then being able to serve them to actually get them to evolve. The company's called Moved Entrepreneur Evolved. And so what we want to do is evolve you as an entrepreneur. And you're going to have to take some of those steps alone. Not all of us can do them with you.
Yeah, you can only, so for example, you can only cook food and serve you, but you have to eat it yourself. Am I right?
You do. We have no IVs here. No IVs here.
Yes, true. Agree. Last question is,
sure,
five takeaways or five rules or five motivation you have for our listeners. What it would be?
Okay.
That you follow.
So I'll go into a couple of them. I don't know if I'll get to five, but I'll try to break some of these down. Number one, as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to separate yourself from the audience. And what I mean by that is the majority of us, including all of us, it depends on what stage I'm on. We all get nervous. And so what we need to do is accept that when customers or clients are on the outside of our advertising, we have to accept that they're kind of like the highway. And you really don't need to open the door and say hi to them or anything like that. You just need to get information in front of them to see if they're willing to get off of the freeway and talk a little more. And the reason that I share that is because a lot of insecurity in business comes from not having enough volume to be able to manage the people. And what happens is when you have low volume with people is you tend to manage personalities in customers instead of giving yourself a pipeline that allows you to actually do the business with the customer and the client and then move them through. What that does is it allows you to actually create a business because you have an input and an output. And so if I were to give any advice, that is, make sure that you can push enough traffic so that you can put the hook in front of them so that you can then actually run the machine. And by doing that, you create an action plan to create enough traffic. And I always say, so you can learn, earn, or pivot. And that's what you should be doing with repetition. So there's one for you. Repetition, you should be earning, learning, or pivoting to something that would do one or the others.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another one is that I'll give you one more. When you make relationships with people, try to anchor certain things in those relationships so that people remember you. I may have done it. Maybe I wore a hat, or maybe I said, maybe next time, we'll remember each other. And so what you're doing in your conversations is you're trying to become rememberable. And so when you have conversations to become rememberable with people, you want to tell stories so that people remember you for who you are as an individual, not just as a name. They actually put the story to you. Once they can do that and you have the traffic, you now have the ability to create momentum. Then it's tactical from there.
Yeah. Though, agree. Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Let's see. It's not always worth flying first class.
Yes, agree.
Sometimes it's not worth it. I thought I'd just give you a random one. But ultimately, if I were to conclude what the actual advice, the very last one is, what are your repeatable processes? That would be where I'd wrap it up, is would say, what are your repeatable processes? Because that's where you'll find what you are.
Wow. So true. I agree with that. Yeah. Thank you, Jason, for your time today. It was amazing. Is there a possibility to have a giveaway for my audience by any chance?
I don't. I'm actually going to write a book. You're the first person I haven't said that, but I'll be writing a book about the Move 30, probably within this year. And so I will write that. And by that time, I will have a book giveaway. But I don't have a giveaway, but you can go to move30.com. And if there is, I believe right now we're running a campaign, there's a free option. Go in there, click on that, lock your time in, and then, get yourself set up and let's get to know each other.
So that means you're giving for half, is it 15 minutes or half an hour they'll get with you?
No, it's not about really time for me. I don't know what it is, a 15-minute calendar or something like that.
Perfect. So they can book a time with you. So it's open for all.
No, I actually go through them.
Yeah, but open for all to whoever wants to get into your program.
It just depends if that free option's open when this airs. That's all.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that. Really appreciate for your time today. And it was amazing to talk to you. Whenever you write your book, please let us know, because then we will talk more about the book and about you, because obviously we want to know what you have written and how we can get the books and everything. So
I'm excited to share.
And also your experience with the book, because when you're writing a book, how many times did you change your topic again and again?
Yeah, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. But the outline's already there, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we are excited too for you, and all the best. And I hope it would be New York bestseller as well.
Well, very good job. I appreciate my time here.
Thank you. We appreciate as well. Thank you for your time, Jason. You have a wonderful evening, I guess. Yeah, because the timing is, we have a time difference.
Exactly.
And again, thank you so much for your time today. And everyone who wants to actually up your game or level up themselves, please sign up with Jason for Move 30. Instructions are in the bio. Thank you. See you. Bye.